Messy Christian Mamas. We are 3 Christian moms with a progressive mindset and loving hearts and minds. We are imperfect humans, but we're all loved in God's sight. At some point, we've all felt like the church and Christianity may not have been for us, but God isn't looking for perfection. He's just looking for you.
We are not experts in Christian theology, and we do not represent any particular Christian faith or church. We are simply here to be authentic, and we hope you join us on this journey.
Hello, and welcome to Messy Christian Mamas. This is Kendra.
This is Kaylee.
And this is Ashley.
And once again, we are joined by our lovely guest.
Hi, I'm Taran.
Yay! Hi, Taran. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me back.
And Ashley's going to tell us a little bit about today's episode.
Yeah, so today's episode is one I've had on my mind for a long time and wanted to do for a long time. It's all about cults.
You're so excited.
I am so excited. And Taran and I both have an affinity for cults.
We've had so many conversations during our lunch breaks
About cults.
about cults.
Right.
Created a cult, talking about cults.
Right. So most of today's episode, I'm going to base it off of a book called Cultish, which is by Amanda Montell. And she does a podcast called Sounds Like a Cult, which I listen to all the time. And it's so funny. It just talks about like normal things in our life that might be a cult, like LuLaRoe and Peloton.
That society has accepted as like normal things.
Yes.
Kind of a cult. Yeah.
So I went ahead.
Giving culty vibes.
Right. So I went ahead and got the book so I could sort of just take some notes of like her idea of like what cultish language is, because the book is all based about the language of fanaticism. So it's like how cults use language. But before I do that, I wanted Taran to tell us a little bit about her background and why she's so interested in cults.
Okay. And I could do hours and hours and hours on this topic. I was raised not in a cult, but in a high demand religion. And I was in it until I was 35. And so when I decided to step away and really evaluate the teachings fairly, because, control of information is very big in a cult. So it was very much against the teachings to Google anything, to question anything was an absolute no-no. So it was a big leap of faith to do that. And once I did, everything fell apart within the hour. So 35 years of devotion gone in an hour.
Wow.
And I mean, that's the tip of the iceberg, because then I spiral and, I have to look up everything and research everything and all of that. But I learned so much about, like, why did I believe for this for so long? And part of it was I was born into it. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's a big part of it. But then I really got very interested into so much of the psychology that goes on, the blatant things that are done to control, the parallels between different cults. Like many start very innocuously, like very innocently, and then they end up being like people are going to prison and lives and families are ruined. And they parallel over and over and over again. Some of the things like the language I thought was very fascinating. In my own experience growing up, there were words that my friends would use, and they were the same as the words I use, but I come to find out they have 2 very different meanings. Like we're using the same words, but we mean 2 very different things.
Yeah. Right.
And that's one thing that I know we've talked about is almost like a thing of control. Mm-hmm. Like, for instance, well, we can get to this later too, but calling your cult or your church the truth. Mm-hmm. Because then if you start to pull away and you say the truth is not true, then how is the truth not true? Mm-hmm. But that's because the truth doesn't mean the truth. The truth means
whatever the church said it said.
Right. Yeah. And so it just messes with your mind. So, I mean, I could go on and on and on about all of the different ways they control you through behavior, through thought, through emotion manipulation, but also control of information. It's fascinating. Fascinating.
I think I'm really interested too in the whole controlling aspect, like how people fall into this realm of control, and sometimes it can be like a cult of one, or it can be like a family that's this way. So I think that's why I get really interested in cults too.
So before we dive in any further, we do just want to let you all know that we are going to go on a bit of a hiatus after this week's episode. Life has been very, very busy.
Has been lifing.
And we're going to take a step back for a couple months, regroup, get some good plans together, and we will be back to talk in your ears at the beginning of the year.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, like I said, Cultish is a book that is based on the language and the power of language that cults use. So she talks about 3 different things that happen within cults: conversion, conditioning, and coercion. So conversion happens when cult leaders make people feel special by love bombing them. And then people join because of this love bombing. So my thoughts when I was reading this was that I think this usually happens when people are already vulnerable. Usually there's like a big life change that happened, or maybe a depressive episode, or people are like looking for an answer or looking for a way out.
So with my parents, what happened was, because like I said, I was born into this, but they were both raised Methodist and Baptist. And so, but they moved away and they made friends. Their next door neighbor was a member of this organization and invited my dad to play baseball, and then invited my dad to go to dinner, and then invited him to, over and over again. So kind of like the love bombing. And again, very innocent, because they don't come at you with like the deep, solid, quote, quote, truths that they have.
Oh, right. It's incremental, always.
Right. And one of the things they've always said was milk before meat. You start with the milk. You start with the easy things to digest. And then as time goes by, you can drop some quote, quote, harder truths. But it's like, let's get them in. And I actually remember having lessons as a child about how to invite friends and get them interested, and keep inviting them. And then hopefully converting them.
Wow.
Oh, that's a good thing I'm lactose intolerant. Okay. And I can't eat red meat, so I'm safe.
I bet it just felt like community.
Very much so. Very much so.
Yeah, because especially if they moved where they don't know anyone, like that's
and you're built into, and of course, like this is a community where they want to have the convergence. So you're kind of a rock star, because you're the new person,
right?
And the people who are bringing you in also kind of really cool that they are doing this.
Sure.
So it definitely is, and I mean, it's not all horrible. It did give a solid community to a very young family who is thousands of miles away from their own family.
Yeah.
I think too, cult leaders or people have potential to be cult leaders. I think they can really pinpoint just what somebody needs to be love bombed.
Yes.
Too. And sometimes it's not very much. Sometimes it's just like saying hello to them, ask them how their day is,
Well, and there's a lot of research too that came out from like cults, so many that came from like the 70s and 60s, when you had a bunch of young people in the, free love era and wanting to go against tradition. And they were just ripe for the picking for some of these cult leaders that were popping up, especially in the West.
I feel like that's the issue now, like with mental health. Like I think because mental health has become such a conversation, and it's become something that has become like very widely talked about and everything, there are people taking advantage of that.
I can see that.
So it's like looking for people who are struggling with mental health and saying like, oh, we have a community that will support you. And like, I can imagine it'd be really easy.
Well, the whole new age movement, I think, is all about not taking accountability, right? And
right.
And that's been well researched too. I was reading some about that recently, about this whole new age thing and all the different forms.
Yep.
Sorry.
Right.
Go ahead.
And just like you were saying for conditioning, so the author says that there's a different set of language that cults use that makes life seem impossible on the outside of the cult. And it's gradual. And it's conditioning. So it's subconsciously learning a behavior in response to a stimuli.
And actually, when I was leaving I really didn't understand this until I was leaving. When I really was like, oh my goodness, this word I've been using my entire life, or coin a phrase, and there's several of them, just don't mean the same thing. I thought that my friends and I were talking the same language, and we were not.
Right.
We absolutely were not. And it wasn't until I was leaving that I was like, oh, they did that on purpose.
Right.
So interesting.
I think it's the analogy with like the frog in the boiling water, that you just like go up little bit by little bit with the heat until all of a sudden the frog's like, oh my gosh, I am dying. Yeah. Okay. And then lastly, there's coercion. So the ends justify the means. So they convince people to act in ways that are against their former reality and against their ethics and sense of self.
So it's abusive relationship.
Yes.
It is,
Yes.
but it also doesn't feel like it in the time. You really
But neither do
feel
abusive relationships.
justified. Right. But there's been some things that have been done in history, and apologists to this day are still trying to say we're okay because they were done in the name of. And I mean, murders, families being ripped apart.
Massacres.
Absolutely. Massacres. Big massacres that were done. And I mean, we see it today with still, religious fanaticism, or actually just fanaticism, and it's being, under the guise of religion.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So cult leaders often create an us versus them dichotomy.
100%.
Right. And I just jotted on some notes. My thoughts about in my personal experience, I have done this as a teacher, as a chorus teacher, and as a band director, and as like the leader of my fraternity at my college. Though I wasn't trying to be manipulative, but I was trying to give people compliments about like, look, the best people are in this group. We are the best in this group. Everybody else is not.
That goes back to one of your first ones of like making them feel special. We are the chosen.
Right.
So not what I came from, but others are like 144,000, I think, are the only that are going to make it into heaven.
Yeah, I've heard that figure.
And I've heard that from a couple of different organizations. And everybody else, I'm like, but there's millions in this organization. They're like, yeah, but we're all hopeful. But it makes you feel so chosen. Yeah. And I was told over and over and over again throughout my life that I was saved to be born during this time. I had a special mission to do, that we are the chosen people. We have the truth. Everybody else is deceived. Some of the other Christian religions are just evil and are sent to divert us from the truth. So it really is like you're so special.
Right.
So special. And we love you, and we're so glad for you to be here.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And she goes on to say that it makes you feel like there's an enemy on the outside. And that the cult has all the answers while the rest of the world is foolish and inferior.
Absolutely. And I was actually thinking about this earlier today because I was like, wow, could somebody have come to me when I was younger and talked me out of it? And no,
Probably
they could not.
Mm-mm.
Because had you come to me when I was younger, I'd been like, yeah, but you don't have the truth. You're not one of the chosen ones like I am.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So
no, I know. I see that
I would
now.
kind of been pity on you, like, oh, look at you trying to help me. That's so cute. But I don't have the truth. So I'd be completely dismissive.
Right. No, I see that now, like with people that I know who are very manipulative, and I see them manipulating other people. And I'm like, I really can't say anything to that person. Like, they're going to have to figure it out on their own.
And there's been so many times where persecution makes people double down into their religions and cults. So
yeah, it gets into this a little bit later, but yeah, the exit cost. Yeah. Okay. So it says cults have their own language and certain words that they use that are special to them. It's an exclusive code. And so this special language helps identify people who are in the cult, and also identify people who are resistant to conform and that they should be watched.
that's interesting. That second part,
Isn't it?
I mean, I knew the first part. I've had some experience with that, but
to identify people that you need to watch.
Yeah, because they don't really get it because they're not using the right words.
They're not totally bought in.
They're still in the milk phase.
Right.
They're still in the bottle phase.
Right.
They're not getting the hamburger tonight.
Well, I'd imagine you have to have deep control over those situations because those people can sow mistrust throughout that community.
You have to be very careful with these newbies
Yeah.
because you have to really just show them the bright and shiny. And if you come down on them too hard and scare them off. And so actually a lot of people who are trying to convert others, they're like, you're going to hear people, if you talk to your family, they're going to tell you negative things because they're hearing it from the devil. And they're just it's the devil trying to keep you away from the truth.
Oh, wow.
And so there's going to be people who come after you and tell you not to do this. And that is only more proof that you should.
Wow.
And so then when your parents come and they're like, I'm really concerned about this group that you're hanging around with, it feels like they're pulling you apart. You're like, wow, they told me you were going to say this.
Right.
It just teaches you to completely mistrust your own gut.
Your own family.
And your own gut, like your own conscience and the voice of God inside of you that is telling you something.
If you didn't have a strong family, it'd be one thing. But there's people who have come from very strong families, and they are still able to pull them away. It's very scary to me.
Yeah.
Very heartbreaking.
So cults often rename their members, and they ask them to shed their own old self and to reject the outside world. And then they have intense bonding with the other cult members.
That's true. I see that too.
Rituals for that.
I've seen instances, and in my personal life, I mean, this isn't necessarily just in my experience, but calling people brother and sister.
Oh, yeah.
So when you go to church, it's not, hi, Taran, how are you? It's, hello, Sister Smith. Hello, Sister Jones, Brother Johnson. So there's that. And it just is another thing that makes our bond stronger. And when you go outside of it, then those people have other names and they don't get to be called. So, I mean, it's just these little things, things.
I know she describes like some cults that do these weird rituals where they like tear each other down. Like they go around and just like tell a person, like criticize everything that's wrong about them. But somehow it's this bonding
to tear them down, to burying them up.
Yeah.
Because you have to like get hit rock bottom.
Everyone vulnerable together.
But there have been ones that actually give you a completely new name. And so you have to shed, and it's like you're shedding. It's like a cocoon, like shedding and becoming something new.
Honesty is mistaken from cult leaders. So people say that they're like a very honest person, that they're charming, but they actually just don't have a filter. So they just talk in a way that is completely uninhibited.
It's true, but then there's also blatant lies. And I've heard it being called lying for the Lord.
What?
And it's okay. It's okay if our leaders lie, if they're doing it to progress the work.
Okay.
So it's lying for the Lord. It's not lying. It's different. It's a type of honesty.
We haven't gotten to cognitive dissonance yet, but boy, that's just like alarm bells, cognitive dissonance.
A little bit.
And I think anytime anyone starts a sentence with honestly.
Yeah, you do gotta get
I'm a really honest person.
Okay.
That always
Why do you feel you need to tell me that?
Right?
Yeah.
Is there some reason?
You can trust me. I think that's one of the things. Trust me. Trust me. I think that's a big vibe that comes from cult leaders is like, you can trust me. I know I'm speaking for the Lord. You have to trust me.
Okay. This was really interesting to me. They use thought terminating cliches. I've started to like pay attention to this more. I think I do this too sometimes. So these cliches discourage critical thinking. Things like, it is what it is. Boys will be boys. It's all God's plan.
Oh, I've got one for you. Ready?
Yeah.
Grew up with this one. When the leader speaks, the thinking is done.
Oh, wow.
What does that mean?
Oh, wow.
That means as soon as the leader says something, you don't need to think about it anymore. It's been
the
done.
thinking is finished.
The thinking is done.
Wow.
So, and it's like, don't Google it. You just need to trust the leader. The leader knows all. The leader is chosen of God. And as soon as he speaks, you need to stop thinking about it.
Wow.
Literally, explicitly taught.
And I can see why that would make you very uncomfortable as a very smart, inquisitive person. You're like, but I want to know.
Well, and that was part of the reason why I was so angry with myself when I finally left. I was like, why did it take me this long to see it? And I had to really forgive myself. I was like, I was born into this.
Yeah.
I was taught from day one, this is the absolute truth of life.
Right.
And then we can get to this later when we talk about why exiting is so hard.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. So the cliches alleviate cognitive dissonance, which is the uncomfortable discord of holding two conflicting beliefs at the same time.
Absolutely.
And I have seen people, like I've said, once I knew someone was really manipulative, and I'm seeing people talking with this person, and I see the other person, the cognitive dissonance in their face, that they're like trying to believe that this person is a nice person, but then they hear something else, like, wait, what?
It's almost like gaslighting to the nth degree. Right? It really is them saying, don't think. You're literally taught, do not think about this. And if you do, you're being bad.
Cult leaders stop members from conversing with the outside world and with each other.
Yeah.
And so I jotted down my thoughts about this while I was reading, is that I often look for this now for potential narcissistic friend groups and narcissistic work situations. Like, do the friends talk with each other, or only with the queen bee, or when the queen bee is around? Because I was definitely, like in grad school, I was definitely in like a narcissistic friend group where we would have a great time, like if the leader was there, but if the leader was not there, no one talked to each other.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I can see being told, and I've heard of different cults that you're just really supposed to minimize or cut off all outside contact. And depending on the variation, some have like no contact with the outside world, like some of these very fundamentalist cults, whereas others are encouraged to go out because they're the shining beacon. They're the candle that's not being put under the bush, but on a candlestick, right?
But probably only with strangers, right? Like probably not with people that would be a support system.
Exactly. And sometimes they also will make sure they dress differently or look differently. So people are like, hey, I noticed you look different. And again, it's another way to like shine. So,
Also difficult if you are not supposed to go into the world and speak to anyone, but yet convert people.
Exactly.
Right.
But yet convert people. That's got to be tricky, right? How do you figure out that? I grew up in the evangelical church, charismatic church, speaking in tongues, dancing in aisles, and it wasn't explicit that you weren't supposed to go out into the world, but it was like if you surrounded yourself with only Christian things, then you could be a better Christian.
Right.
Like, okay, sure, if you put yourself in a bubble.
Right.
and sometimes they count on that and demand it.
Right.
So
This was really interesting to me. She says that cult recruiters go after people who are strong, caring, and sharp, and with an abundance of optimism. So you would think that it's people who are drawn into cults maybe are not so smart or something like that, but it's the opposite. They go after people who are really like shining people, but they just are optimistic, have a lot of hope.
and so they're looking for something in their lives maybe, and they see that.
Or they just have like a lot of idealism that
Smart people maybe in a vulnerable moment where they want something better.
But I can see how you want bubbly, happy people bringing more people in because they're like, hey, look at this wonderful person. Don't you want to be around this queen bee? Right? She's great. He's great.
Yep.
But I don't know if that's their number one target.
What do you think the number one target is?
I think the number one target is somebody who's just blindly loyal. You know, maybe for whatever reason. I think that they have to have a few or a number of people who are charismatic. And if they can get those people fully converted, then, oh my goodness, everybody wants to be around them. And it's a great time. And we must be in the right place because they make me feel so good.
That makes total sense.
Right. Yeah. The fishermen. Yes. Fishers of men.
Yeah. But fisher people.
Which we'll get to at the end, but like
don't stay away from them.
But like something I do want to think about near the end of the episode is the line. What's the line between cult and just religion?
Yes.
You know. All right. So the author says people stay in cults for the same reasons you could stay in a relationship: denial, listlessness, social stresses, fear they might seek revenge, lack of money, lack of outside support, doubt that you'll find something better, and sheer hope that things will get better how they were at the start.
Well, and I think also too that we can't discount the fact that there are people who are in cults who really feel happy.
Yeah.
And they really feel like they've found their spot.
Yeah.
I abhor them. I think they're awful. I think they're manipulative. But there are people who gain something as long as and I can talk about this at a later time, there's parallels between all these cults that maybe start rather innocent and then slowly, and you can see parallel after parallel after parallel from these different cults, that slowly the leader gets more power.
Right.
And, and it just spirals out of control to where it is just exploitive
And it always seems
horrible.
like in the same way.
It very much parallels. It very much parallels.
Yeah.
But I can see if you're not down to the I'm being exploited terribly on a daily basis, that you're like, wow, this actually is great. I have community. I don't have to think too much. My life is taken care of. I'm part of a community.
Yeah. And that's kind of what she talks about on this podcast, Cultish, or it sounds like a cult too, is that we have these groups like Peloton or whatever. That Peloton, you're probably not going to have some horrible manipulative situation, but you do gain a sense of community with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I worked in TV for a long time, and one of the shows that I worked a lot with was one of the families of 19 kids, and they were all fundamentalist, had different shades of it for sure, but they were all fundamentalist. And boy, I remember at the time, I had not come back to the church yet at the time when I was working with them too. And so my perspective was very different from where they were, but just thinking, wow, it would be so much easier to be able to just blindly trust in the information that's put in front of you instead of questioning it.
Absolutely. I feel like it's
and
easier.
there's things that I think are truly positive from my experience. Like there are things that were put into place in my daily or weekly life as a family that I'm like, that's a fantastic practice. Even now, I'm just like, yes, you know what? We should gather our children and our families together at least one night a week and have a game night and a fun, like there's, yes, that's a great thing. So, I mean, I don't think it's all bad.
Right.
And that's why it's so difficult, is because you're like, but what about the time he's nice to me?
Right. Yeah.
This abusive person who's in my life, like, but then he's nice to me. And I'm like, oh, because there are really great things too.
Right.
That make it difficult to get away from.
Right.
Yeah,
but you're just not allowed to be your authentic self.
No, you're never.
Right.
I mean, these people that I worked with seemed very authentic. Like they seemed genuinely happy, and like life, there was like an ease about which they're women, they're born into this subservient role, and they happily take that on and don't take issue with it. But then I have another friend who grew up pretty fundamentalist, and when he and his wife lost a baby, then they were told that was because they hadn't prayed enough.
Right.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've seen that
so
before.
like there's such a dark side to it, obviously, too. But
So hope keeps people trapped in abusive relationships.
I mean, cult or not, that's the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. The hope it's going to get better. Okay. So she says that if language cues you to have an instant emotional response while halting you from asking further questions, or makes you feel chosen just for showing up, or allows you to morally divorce yourself from outside inferior others, then that language should be challenged. So just like something to look out for.
Absolutely. But in the moment, it takes a lot to step back.
To see it.
Especially if you're born into it, like I said.
sure.
And if everyone around you is doing the same thing, it's like, oh,
That's
is
all you've
just
ever
normal.
known. It's all you've ever known.
Cult leaders use gaslighting to make members doubt their reality and become totally dependent on the leader for what to believe. So I think what you're just saying, Kendra, that just it's so much easier to have someone else just tell you what to believe.
Right.
Yeah.
And once the leader is spoken, the leader is spoken, the end.
So the book goes into a lot of different examples of cults and how they use language in different ways. And one of them she goes into a lot is Scientology, which I didn't know a whole bunch about Scientology.
Oh, it's so fascinating. It's so
I started looking into it, but I was like, oh, this is too big. I gotta like, maybe this is a summer project.
There, that was,
It's so
that's a doozy.
fascinating.
So they have something called word clearing. And so it's easier to not question or argue with a word clearing. She kind of goes into like what that, it's like they take a word and they change the meaning of it. I guess that's what word clearing is. And they have to go through like this whole ritual of like where I don't
Where they
really
understand that whatever you thought this word was before, now is you were wrong before.
Right. And then they have to go through like this whole like hours long thing to explain themselves or something. And basically it's just easier not to question or argue because the cult will eventually put you through something more exhausting and defeating.
I mean, if you think about that just in our normal lives, sometimes it's just like, honey, I'm not going to argue about why we're having spaghetti tonight. I don't know, like whatever. It's just like, do we have to argue about this? You know, but then imagine on like such a greater scale where you have these very influential people surrounded by dozens and dozens and dozens, if not more, people who are all looking at you and like, you want this, you need this, this is the right way. You're so chosen.
Right.
Don't you want to be chosen? You need to learn this.
It's way
We're
easier not
only
to argue.
helping you. We're only helping you. Yeah.
Right.
It's a lot to go against.
So it is not a cult. The author of the book says it's not a cult if you have religious consent. So there has to be room to ask questions both early on and deep into your membership. If something is legitimate, it will stand up to scrutiny.
Absolutely. However, in my experience, we have a leader who said that it should be questioned. However, when you did question, it's like, why are you questioning? Or they had these like almost like telemarketer answers that if like the customer says this, you say this, you say this. But they have that one token person who says, oh, of course you should question. Just don't look at Google.
Right.
Like question in the right way. And then you're
the
only
gaslighting.
specific
It's like
things
such a
that you're allowed
mind
to
scramble. Oh.
or is told to doubt your doubts before you doubt your faith.
Oh, wow.
That was another one.
You cannot trust your gut.
No, you have to doubt your doubts.
Yeah.
So this other example she was giving was about cultish fitness communities, but I really liked the quote. So she says, questions to ask yourself about a cultish group if you think you might be in a cultish group. It says, upon finding yourself in a cultish fitness community,
Because yes, they exist.
right, that may or may
There.
not be entirely healthy, here are a few questions worth asking. Is the group genuinely welcoming of all different people? Are you allowed to participate casually? Or do you find yourself putting all your time and faith in this group alone, basing all of your decisions on theirs? And if you miss a class or quit, what are the exit costs?
I was about to bring that up. I was
Right.
like, I hope she's saying like,
Right.
what's the cost of leaving?
Yeah, is it pride, money, relationships, your whole world? Is it a price you are willing to pay? All right, so what do you got to say about what exit costs?
They can be very heavy. So it's different. You know, I do see some of these classes, fitness classes, multi-marketing schemes that kind of have also been seen as cultish. And it's really hard to get away.
Right.
But in the really serious ones, I mean, they're all serious. But in one that I left a little bit, but even more so in some of the, you know, more strict cults, if you leave, you lose your entire family.
Yes.
You can lose your parents, your spouse. I've seen families ripped apart. Like, I'm sorry, I love you with all my heart, but if you're not going to be part of this cult, the devil has gotten you.
Right.
And I need to worry about my soul, and I cannot anymore be around you.
Right. And, then,
And
so
so-
they're found without a support system.
Right. Well, and it's also just like why would you even question? You love your family, don't you? So in the one I came from, if you went through this ceremony, your family was together forever and ever. But if you left, you forego that. So if I were to leave, it's basically looking my husband and my child in their eyes, my siblings, my parents in their eyes, and saying, you know what? I just don't love you anymore. I mean, and that's ingrained deeply. I know it sounds kind of ridiculous, and so it makes me so angry now. But like, even when I left, and I left under my family's very supportive. Not that there wasn't any pushback, but they were very supportive. But there still was family that, you know, chose the church over me to varying extents. I mean, it's not like they cut me out or like shunned me like, you know, some serious cults do. But
Did they have any blowback as a result of you leaving?
That's an excellent question. I think there were people who questioned why I had left. But as time's gone on, more and more people have left after me. And so that's a whole nother conversation as being the first one
Sure.
versus
Right.
but
You've created a safe space for people to jump.
I have.
Right.
I have. And that was an unexpected
Really brave thing to do.
consequence because, at the time I was just like devastated.
Right.
But since that's gone on, I've had family members, friends, extended family who've come to me and they're like, I'm ready to leave. Can you talk me through this? And I was like, yeah, it's hard. It's hard. It feels
Walking
like
through fire.
yes, but it's
To get out.
to get out, but it's also having your entire world shook.
Yeah.
Like the whole rug of your existence ripped out from underneath you. Like
Rebuilding from
your foundation is gone.
Yeah.
ground up.
But then you find out it wasn't ever a foundation.
Right. It wasn't real.
It wasn't
Which is like
real.
even more of a mind scramble. They're just like,
It really
oh gosh,
is.
it wasn't real.
And
it's
so one
so
of the
worth
things,
like building an authentic foundation for yourself. I'm sure,
right?
to do
And
it.
but you really have to sit there and look and evaluate and
What is
evaluate.
an authentic foundation?
But
right.
one of the things I've told people time and time and time again is nothing has changed. You've become aware, you've seen some things, and you're leaving, but fundamentally, nothing's actually changed. Like you're just seeing truths and seeing things in a new light. So this is not the time to go into debt. This is not the time to propose or divorce or to do anything or cut somebody out of your life. Like this is a big shift for people who are leaving, but it's give yourself some time to process.
Right.
But no, there's everything they have. I mean, you think like gym memberships, going back to the fitness, how hard it is to cancel a gym membership. And they don't threaten you with eternal damnation or losing your family
Right.
to lose. You just, have to sign away your life and jump through all these hoops to leave a gym.
Right. Yeah, and when you're talking about the multi-level marketing, there's like sunk cost too because you have to like pay so much to be in it.
Yeah.
Or like you have this like you've put so it's like a relationship too. You put so much into it, and you're like, oh, I don't want to leave now. I put out so much into this,
And that goes back to one of the things that I kind of was looking into is like there are these doomsday cults who throughout time have multiple cults have predicted or had prophecies of when the end of the world was coming. And then it doesn't come.
Right.
And instead of leaving, people double down. And I'm like, that's so fascinating to me.
Right.
Why, if you're like out there with your picket signs warning the world because you believe this so firmly, the world is going to end on this date, and then it doesn't, how do you stay?
What's the Kool-Aid one? That was what they did. right?
Jonestown.
That's Jonestown.
Oh, not
Jim Jones.
Yes.
Jim Jones.
Then there's the what's the other one?
That's what I was going to say about Jim Jones. We were just talking about more people wanting to leave. That happened with Jim Jones, and like
They
one
started to
person
leave.
started to leave, then a whole bunch of people were like, "I want to go too."
And then the Kool-Aid.
right,
Which
right,
is
right.
like ultimate.
I can't think of what it was. It was started by a man and a woman, and
Nexium.
I know what you're talking about.
It's an
And
older
she
one.
passed away, and
Yeah.
then he took over.
Heaven's Gate.
Heaven's Gate.
Heaven's Gate.
That's what it is.
Well, there's another one too, but yes, the Heaven's Gate. And then
I feel like we're doing
it didn't
cult trivia
happen.
right now, right?
We should do that cult trivia. But no, but going back to the like, I've invested so much. I was like, why?
Right.
If you believed so much that you had this truth and the world was going to end on this date, and it doesn't, why is that not just like,
all of a
oh
sudden
my
you're like,
God, I am wrong? Because, and there's multiple reasons. It's, I can't be wrong because I'll lose my family.
Yeah.
I can't be wrong because the truth is the truth. It's control of information. Maybe it did happen and I just didn't know because they control the information. But also, like what you were saying, I've already put so much into this.
right,
Like, is it all for nothing?
right.
It's the psychology behind it is fascinating.
It really is. All right, so one final thought from the book, but then I want to talk a little bit more about cults.
Always.
Right. So just the final thought is, who does the group want to empower? The guru or the people?
That is an amazing point.
I think that's basically what it boils down to.
Yeah.
Like, can you question it, and who is being empowered?
Because they make you feel empowered, but really the little layperson who's told you can't leave, you can't question, you're all devotion.
Right.
And don't you love it here? We're your family.
Right.
We're here for you. We do all this for you.
I think that brings up a good point about the language again, that you have to pay attention to actions and not to words, which is really hard to do. Because be like, oh, I love you so much. But I want you to do all this work and I'm not going to do anything. You know?
It's fascinating to me, these cults where you join, you have to give up everything, all your possessions, work without pay, live and squander.
Right.
In some cases, give up your wife to the leader, quote, quote, leader for exploitation. And you're just like, why would you question this? And they're like, but it's the truth. He's the truth. And I'm like, you've lost everything. You've lost everything. And you still double down.
Right. So I think you have to pay attention to actions, and you have to pay attention to how you feel too. And like after you leave being with someone or being with that group, like what did it feel like? Because if you're just there and like listening to the words, you get caught up in it. But if you take some space and you're out of it for a minute, like, wait, I don't feel good. You know?
Yeah. And that's why a lot of time the intervention, so to say, is really like taking the person and removing them. And they're adults. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Right.
You can't. And so they're just fed, and it's just like, you're surrounded by people you love. I have so many relatives and friends who were not, and they would be there as a support group in a heartbeat, but they instill such fear.
Right.
Yeah. Lovingly distill fear.
Okay. So an analogy.
So analogy I had when I finally left was I had always felt I was under this big, thick, heavy blanket my whole life, and it was like protection. It was keeping me safe from the scary world outside. And I was told my whole life that I needed this blanket on top of me. And it was here. It was protecting. It was helping me. It was comforting me. It was keeping me safe. So as I was slowly starting to leave, it was like I lifted a little corner of that blanket so I could see out. And the fresh air just blasted in.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
And then I was like, no, it's not poison. It's fresh. It's cool. It's calming. And so then I lifted the blanket a little more, and then a little more. And next thing I see is sunshine and people who are happy. They're not mean. They're not out to rip me down. They're not protesting because they think I'm evil. They're just kind, loving people. And I was like, this blanket suddenly stopped being this protection and started being this heavy, heavy weighted blanket on me that was keeping me down. And so throwing that off took a lot of effort. But in the end, I was like, oh my gosh, it's so freeing. It was hard and it was scary, but it was so freeing.
That's beautiful.
That is beautiful.
Yay.
I think about like weighted blankets with that too, right? Like people talk about what a huge benefit a weighted blanket is. It feels like a hug.
Oh, I love a weighted blanket. But yeah.
But like so many people develop knee injuries and things like that, and ankle injuries from using weighted blankets.
I was just feeling like you need this oppression in your life because you're told you need it. And then you're like, I actually don't need it? Really? Really? Seriously?
Right.
And then it's like, yay.
Yeah.
Ice cream for everybody.
Let's go out into the world and find your own hug.
Snow cones for everybody.
Grubbies for you. Go find it. Love it. All right. Well, thank you so much, Taran.
You're welcome.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Messy Christian Mamas. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, and Instagram. Until next time, embrace the mess, share the love, and shine your light bright, my friends.